In 1985, Capcom released Gunsmoke, and that's gun.smoke, not to be confused with Gunsmoke, the television show, in the arcades. And in 1988, they ported it to the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Famicom Disk System. So let's pop it in the old NES and give it a test drive, shall we? Now, although Gun.Smoke was considered a port of the arcade version did have 10 levels, and the NES version only has 6. And there are a few other subtle differences. The main key differences between the arcade and the NES version, besides the number of levels, is the fact that you can actually buy items in this game, and you couldn't do that in the arcade version. All the items in the arcade version, you had to find. And the arcade version also only had one type of weapon you could use, which was the dual 6-shooters, which happened to have infinite ammo. But in the NES version, you can actually upgrade your weapon to a shotgun, and a few other things. I think a smart bomb, and maybe one other weapon. Oh, machine gun, that's the other one. So that's about the bulk of the key differences between the arcade and the NES port. Now, when you see somebody with a speech bubble and an exclamation point in it above their head, that's a shopkeeper, and that's where you buy stuff. The lady here sells weapons. I saw another one I forgot to mention also, which is the Magnum, and that's Magnum, 2 words, not to be confused with Magnum, 1 word. I guess this game had a lot of copyright issues, and they tried to work around it as best they could. Now let's talk about gameplay. This is basically a vertically scrolling shooter, except if you get hung up on the background, or foreground, or whatever you'd call the environment in this game, and the screen scrolls and you reach the bottom of it, it doesn't kill you. But if you are on a horse, it does take your horse away. So anyhow, it is a scrolling shooter. There's some unique kinds of gameplay though. The controls are such that you use the A and B buttons to shoot left or right. To shoot directly down the center, straight ahead, you hit both A and B together at the same time. And to shoot a continuous stream of bullets like I've been doing, you have to keep tapping the buttons. So this game would benefit very much from a turbo button. There are a number of items you can pick up during the game, and they range from boots, which increase your speed, the rifle, which increases the length of your bullets, and a horse, which is kind of extra protection. You're allowed to take 3 shots while you're on a horse from enemy fire before you lose your horse. And if you do not have the horse, 1 shot kills you. You could also pick up the words POW when they appear, and that kills all enemies on the screen instantly. If you pick up what looks like 2 gigantic bullets, that is extra ammunition for your special weapons if you have any. But I don't believe the bullets appear until after you have a special weapon. The bags of money you can pick up are extra points, and your points, incidentally, are also your in-game currency. There are 2 types of Yashichi you can pick up. One is an extra life, and the other type is temporary invincibility. And last but certainly not least is the wanted poster. The wanted poster is extremely important. It's required to get to the end boss. The game will just continue to scroll on the same stage. It'll restart you from the beginning again if you reach the end, on a continuous loop if you don't pick up the wanted poster. Wanted posters can be found hidden in the level, or if you get frustrated and can't find it, you can actually buy one from the man selling things for like 20,000 points. At least 20,000 points on the first stage. I think the actual point value of it changes for each stage. Here is the wanted poster for the first stage, and that, incidentally, I found about 12 seconds after I purchased it, which I edited out because I looked like an idiot. So after acquiring the wanted poster, you continue on to the end of the stage, and it will not loop around to the beginning this time, and you will come to an end boss fighting sequence. Always interesting stuff. The boss for the first stage is somebody named Bandit Bill, and the reward for killing him is $10,000, or points, or whatever you want to call him. He's pretty much a pushover, as you'll see in a moment. The trick with Bandit Bill seems to be to wait till he stands up, and then just shoot the fuck out of him. And onward to stage 2. Is it me, or does the boss for Stage 2, Cutter, look a lot like a Bobo from Double Dragon? I don't know. I see a resemblance. That's probably just coincidence because Double Dragon was a Taito game, and this is a Capcom game. But there is another Capcom game that this borrows heavily from, not only graphically, but gameplay-wise, and that is Commando. Commando obviously came out first, and it was pretty popular, so it doesn't surprise me that Capcom tried to take a winning formula and turn it into another hit. And although I think that the gameplay and overall experience of Gun Dot Smoke is better than Commando, it never did all that well. Commando was a lot more popular and sold a lot better for the home consoles, and was a bigger hit for the arcades. But I think that might have more to do with the theme. And when you go to an arcade, where you're looking for a nice video game, you don't really go right to the Western section. But I do give Capcom credit for originality. Oh look, a Yashichi. I believe that's the Invincibility Yashichi. Yeah, it doesn't look like I got an extra guy, so I'm going to say that was the Invincible one. And that one must be the extra guy. So it looks like the blue Yashichi. Yep, that's the extra guy. The blue one gives you invincibility for a little bit, and the red one gives you an extra guy. Now you can f*** around all day and try to find that wanted poster, or you could just buy one. And I just decided to buy one. So now, the million-dollar question. Is Gunsmoke worth buying? And I say that all depends. Depends on many factors. Depends if you like scrolling type shooters. If you had a lot of fun with the gameplay Commando, you'll probably like this. And if you're a fan of the scrolling shooter genre, it's definitely a good pick. The graphics are nice to look at. There's minimal graphical glitches. There's very little to no flicker, which is always nice in a Nintendo game. A lot of Nintendo games, especially shooters, were known for their flicker. And the game does provide some challenge. There are a few bad points. While the music is nice, it does get a bit grating after a while. You'll find yourself annoyed by near the end of the first stage. You'll be pretty annoyed with the music. And that frantic music playing whenever you go to buy an item will definitely drive you nuts if you have it on too long. Another bad point, well, I don't know if it's really a bad point, but it's just a strange point, is that this game does have an ending, but to get to the ending, you have to beat it 3 times in a row. And after you beat it 3 times in a row and finally beat the game for good, all it does is say, the end. No story conclusion, no graphical funness, no credits, just the end. So if you can pick up Gunsmoke for a couple of dollars, I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the vertically scrolling shooters, or even a fan of Commando, because it's very similar to Commando. The Western theme is a little hokey, but hey, points for originality. At least as original as you can get for copying the name of a Western-themed TV show that was the longest-running show in TV history for a long time. So if you see Gunsmoke, pick it up, give it a try. You should be able to find it for, under $10. I'd say a fair market price for this game is about $4 or $5. I'm Dommy from Classic Games Revisited. Until next time.